When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Good afternoon, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I'm your host, Colleen Biggs. And can you believe we are already at episode 50 of just restarting our rebranded podcast of Take the Leap? I can't believe we've been able to climb so quickly into the top 3% globally. And today we're going to be talking about how to live free. And our guest, Tricia Parido, is here, and she's going to be giving us the secrets on how to live free. And you might think, I'm not really sure what that's going to be. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around. But before we get to Tricia, I want to thank our sponsor for today, No Problem Parenting. Are you frustrated with your kids? Do you constantly worry about them? Or maybe you're just sick and tired of dealing with misbehaviors in your home. Yep, that was me. Well, have no fear. No Problem Parenting is here to help you turn any emotional or behavior problem into no problem while strengthening your relationship with your kids at the same time. You don't have to be the bad guy to get your kids to behave. And they just released a No Problem Parenting book. So we will be sure to get you that link so you can purchase that book as well. Join the No Problem Parenting community where you'll find down-to-earth, practical, fun, no nonsense tips and ideas for how to deal with and overcome any parenting challenge. Go to noproblimparenting.com and get started now. Be the confident leader your kids crave to be. I think we should just say, be the confident individual that you crave to be in your life. How else can you live free, right? We've got to crave it and want it. So let me introduce our guest to you today. Tricia Parido is a recovery lifestyle enthusiast. She's a speaker and a published writer. In fact, how I met her was at an event that we were both speaking at for the first time. She's a nationally certified life coach, an international master's addiction specialist, and a professional life interventionist with a psych degree in process behavioral and chemical addiction who loves to help change lives. She specializes in life transition and post-treatment journeys. Tricia is ever committed to serving her clients worldwide find the emotional intelligence they need to conquer their life challenges. Tricia, welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm so good. I was telling you I have my sea legs still because I haven't quite gotten back, on Earth. I feel like, when you've been living on water, but I just forget how powerful water is and how good it is for the health of our bodies, just floating in salt water, just like we would, an Epsom salt bath is so good for your health to be able to be in nature like that. And it's also good to take breaks, right? For me, I think it's very important that we make choices of things that we want to do in our lives and not necessarily allow those things that we need take control of our life. So I'm going to hand this one over to Tricia because she's definitely the expert on of assisting and empowering people to live free. So Tricia, tell us more about that. Tell us a little bit about your story because I know you really, really well. You and I have been friends for a couple of years. We've worked together. Tell me how you went from where you were in your life to now not only empowering people to live free, but empowering others to empower people and working with coaches.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. It's like, wow, I've uncovered so many categories of people that truly can be served in the methods, I guess, that I've uncovered in my journeys, right? I just anymore, gosh, I'm sorry, I really should have updated my bio for you because anymore I just stop it as master life interventionist, right?
Yeah.
just there you go. Because here's the deal. We all have something that holds us hostage. We all have something that overwhelms us or stresses us out. And so, as a practitioner, working with and serving people who are at various levels of degree of what we would call severity with addiction, right? So my first mission, like when we met, like what was my mission? To broaden those perspectives around the words addiction and recovery, and help people really see that, your relationship with the gym, right? Right, could also be something that we need a recovery journey from, because it is controlling your life. If your self-worth, when you look in the mirror, is truly deflated or defeated, depending upon where your relationship is. But it's, that all in or all out of a diet or whatever. But then, but when people hear the words addiction and recovery, they think about the down, the out, the ill, the poorly functioning, the people that need to be removed from their home so they can be fixed, right? Well, there's those folks too. But those folks also, once they get done with that traditional level of treatment, still have to come home to the now what? And then, so there's so many different things, right? So in that, I identified, the practitioners, the people that are serving, right? Because more and more practitioners were coming to me because they were struggling with their relationship with alcohol or food or online shopping as a means. And they didn't realize, like, oh, I should know better, right? We're talking PhD psychs, right? That I'm working with, and they're like, I should know better. And I'm like, why should you know better? Right? Did you study addiction? Like, I got 5.5 years solely focused on process, behavioral, and chemical addiction. You studied psych, behavioral psych, sure, but not in that focus, right? So, I started noticing that the level of burnout of people that are of service and how they were coping, and it was infiltrating their lives. So that's where, my passion to engage with people that are of service or want to be of service, right? Because I'm also an educator and a supervisor, to help them learn how to do so without burnout, without what we refer to as transference or countertransference, where you're taking on too much of your client, or you're putting too much of your own life into, because we see a lot of that also, right? Yeah. So people, don't understand that their life improvement journeys don't work because they're trying to fit their life into somebody else's method or modality, right? Like, oh, that person did great. I want to go there. I want to work with that person, or, I want to take that class because that person's life looks super awesome right now. Like, it worked really well for them, but then it falls short because you're trying to, take your life and put it into somebody else's thing, instead of taking that thing and doing what I call add, edit, delete, and morph it to serve you in your life.
Yeah.
Right. And before meeting you, right, I had worked with a lot of other coaches. And, I always would ask, like, is what you're going to teach me transferable into what I do? Right. Mm-hmm. Because marketing's one, right? Like, marketing's a hard thing. And if you're in my line of work, it's super hard because there's so much we cannot say. Yeah. Right. There's so much we cannot say. And they're like, oh, sure. And no, it wasn't translatable at all. Right. Anyway.
That's right. So your journey, let's go back to your journey, because your journey started back when you needed to help yourself. So you weren't able to help others like you are today until you helped yourself. So tell our listeners why you do what you do today. Why are you on a mission to really help people live free? Because I believe you felt bound at one time and weren't living the life that gave you the shackles, that gave those up to where you get to live that free life today. So talk to our listeners so they can get to know you, Tricia Parido, a little bit better.
Tricia Parido, the ultimate control need, perfectionist, people pleaser, had to be everything to everybody, never put myself first, nor did I even see, think, feel, or believe that my thoughts, feelings, emotions, opinions, beliefs, needs, wants, dreams, or desires were valid, were seen as holding any value, or were considered to be worthy of being realized. and I know that was a mouthful of words. But as a child, that was the message that I opted to adopt and take ownership of.
Yeah.
Just I was a highly intellectual child. So if you're 4 years old and your siblings are 8, 9, 10 years older than you, and you can hold your own in a conversation, like generally speaking, they get tired of you really quick, and they tell you all the time that they don't want to hear what you have to say. But so did the grandparents. And a lot of, there was a lot of don't speak unless spoken to. And so it was really hard, to hear, like, nobody wants to hear what you have to say. But then, and then that carried into other relationships. And of course, there was a lot of different traumas and, sexual assault, domestic violence, emotional neglect, emotional abuse, that led me into a journey of, other things, right? What can I control? And for anybody that's ever had a negative relationship with food or disordered eating or body dysmorphia, the things that you can control is what goes in, right? And so, anorexia was something that I worked really hard at. But also so was maintaining my relationship with alcohol, because it was what I learned and what was modeled for me as a very good, useful, stress relief tactic, or an emotional, healing. So, I went through a long period of time with that. Now, I've been in this life recovery journey for, a little over 25 years. And, everything wasn't ready to recover at the same time. And I have an amazing husband and amazing children. And I'm very, one of the first things I learned how to do was allow unconditional positive regard to exist in my life. I was like, wow, what is this? I was so hesitant, but that didn't stop me from, being that, traditional role of a mother, wife inside of the family unit. When you got 5 kids and a spouse, right? Like, right? Like, you have to be all of these different things.
Yeah.
And so, I held on to, but, managed to always keep my habits, at a level that kept me super high functioning, right? So my control mechanisms with food, although not technically in active anorexia, there were still high levels of control going there, because I still had to be able to tolerate the reflection in the mirror. Again, body dysmorphia is something we have to learn how to live with. And there's various degrees of severity of that. If there's a listener out there saying you can't possibly have it, whatever. But, so there was those things, and then there was, low level, low severity daily drinking, all the things, but then some near-death experiences that caused me to put myself into some significant life change, which then generalized anxiety disorder followed afterwards, and then the empty nest, and all of these things, right? So there was still a lot of emotional stuff, and but then the prescription medications just started piling on, and then that coupled with low-level daily drinking ended up being a physiological addiction to a lot of shit. Excuse my mouth, sorry.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people out here, right? I'm sure, Tricia, there's a lot of people right now that are listening to this and feel like, I have control issues. I do drink maybe a little bit more than I should. I don't feel like I'm in, control as much as I could be, or too much control, right? They're trying to figure out for themselves, is the relationships I have with myself and with others and with things healthy? And they might not feel like they're living free, because they still feel that there are things that are shackling them down. What is the first step to that recognition, to know that there's something there? Like you had it kind of just piled on, but sometimes you don't want it to get so severe before you turn it around.
Right. So I want to make this one statement really quick. And that is, just because your relationship with alcohol or something else, whatever it is for you, may not be at the healthiest. And just because it may be, you might be super reliant on it, doesn't mean that you're an alcoholic or an addict. And I just want to give you that space to absorb that, because, I know that that's a large fear. And I was, as an executive board member, we were just at a large conference, and we were all very much, talking about the importance of making sure that the public knows that just because you're having an issue with your relationship with something right now doesn't mean that you are a true addict.
That's
right. So, cut yourself some slack, right? Like, that's why I love talking about, why living without habits fixes everything, because it allows you the freedom. So there's your answer, right? So if you have, and I get it. Okay. So the first thing everybody's thinking, well, I have healthy habits. They're still habits, right? They're still habits. And what are habits? Habits are rigid. Habits have expectation. Habits have a pressure to perform. And you either succeed at them or you don't. And if something happens in your life that your daily habits or whatever can't happen as your control needs need them to, psychologically, emotionally, then they are doing you a disservice. Yeah. So, I absolutely 100% have a lifestyle that serves me. And yes, there are repetitive things that happen on my calendar. But guess what? Those repetitive things on my calendar are also very bendable, flexible, pliable, and very movable. I have learned very much to use my mouse and drag it to a different space, right? And that's the gym. That's what time I eat. That's what time I sleep. That's what time I go to the store. That's what time when I do the laundry. It's every single thing on my calendar is not set in stone, right? Like nothing is set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. If I would have woke up today and said, I am sick, I'm not going to be able to show up for these people and give them anything of value, I would have canceled today.
Yeah.
Right. Or rescheduled. Right. Because we cannot live in such a rigid space. That's why we break. That's also why we're all in. Right. Yeah. Everybody, we're coming up on that New Year's resolution time. This is what I hear most at this time of year. Because we're going into the holidays. I will win, right? The holidays are over and it's time for my New Year's resolution. Start to work on myself. I will win. All of this is over. There's no time because I have my job, I have my regular activities, and I have to add in everything that the holidays bring. I'm here to tell you, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, depending upon your religion, right? Days. And again, if you have Hanukkah, sure, we've got a little bit more days in there. But if you really look at it in terms of the fact that it's just those days, right? It's not supposed to consume your whole life. And if you can't live for yourself first without feeling guilty, selfish, punished, or restricted, and put yourself in some level of importance, you're not going to be healthy for yourself, nor are you going to be healthy for others, right? Like, think about it. How do I want to see myself experiencing living?
Well, we're coming up on the holidays now, right? We're coming up on the holidays. So what are your suggestions for the last quarter of the year on how we should be showing up for ourselves, right? How should we be showing up for our needs and the things that we love to do. And then we find that, there's these traditions in our family, or, my mother-in-law wants XYZ and it's really difficult on me and the kids or the family, or, around Christmas time, or, any of the holidays that we have coming up that everybody celebrates. What are some tips that you would give us moving into the last couple months of the year and into January?
Absolutely. The first thing that I recommend is that we do, and everybody, personal inventory, whatever you want to call it, right? We have to get to know ourselves at a level we've never considered before, which means we need to take a look at 6 different categories that create whole health and see how we're functioning in each one, because we broad brush everything. We need to stop that. And you can actually find you can actually request a copy of this survey that will walk you through all 6 categories on my homepage. So totally free. Just download it. There you go. It'll walk you through that. But then you also want to start, looking at, and I don't want to give you too much, because a lot of it, you're not going to understand what to do with it. But, so you want to get to know yourself. You want to look at true life balance. And there's 14 categories that truly go into creating a all true balanced life. So it's not just homework, and again, broader. So you want to really look at that, but you have to define each category as it's representative to you. Right? If you look at an example of a life balance wheel, erase everything in the examples. Erase it and fill in what it is for you before you start looking at how balanced it is. Because otherwise you're doing what? You're comparing yourself to some book,
right,
or somebody else's perception of what needs to go in there. So you want to take a look at that. You want to look at how impulsive, knee-jerk, and reactive you are, right? And I'm talking about anything from how quickly you feel like you have to answer the text message that pops up on your screen, to impulsive spending, to how you engage in a conversation. Like how much do you, truly allow active listening to come in? And do you know what active listening is? How assertive are you in your communication? Do you know what true assertive communication is, right? True assertive communication is open, honest, genuine, transparent, and authentic. It's not just blunt, right? It's not just, this is what I think, right? Yeah. It's a lot of things. And so we have to bring a lot more intuition into all of the things that we do. And sometimes we have to create the ability to hear through the right filter so we can even hear our intuitive space. So we have to, slow things down and get responsive in all things we do. But here's the deal. And this is just me giving you like the first 4 things. This is it, the first 4 things. You have to know what are these things outside of you that you're relying on to bring you peace, joy, comfort, relief, value, validity, worthiness, but also, how much power do you give away to things outside of you to make you irritated, agitated, annoyed, frustrated, bothered, sad, lonely, whatever, blah, 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 right? I bet you if you take a look at all of the things that make you unhappy, that most of them are things outside of you.
Yeah.
And as well as those things that you're relying on to make you feel better about yourself: the gym, the plate of food, the bottle of booze, the online shopping, click a button, Amazon, fill me up, whatever. If I buy this suit and I look a certain way, I'm going to feel great. So, and then of course we have to find a way to reduce vulnerability. And the only way we can do that is to dive in psychologically with the right person to help us learn how, but distress tolerance and emotion regulation.
Well, I know you mentioned the quiz, which is like the first thing that you talked about, and there's a lot of questions. We couldn't possibly get through them all. What is that website for those questions?
turningleavesrecovery.com. That's LEAVES. And it's, I want to say it's about halfway down. And I think the question that it says right now is, do you want to know why life feels like it's lacking for you? Something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good question to ask ourselves. Do we feel that we are not that we are not happy, or we're not living free, or there's other things that you're letting things get to you every day, or you feel like you have to be in control of everything and can't take a back seat. There's a lot of, we could go on and talk for hours, Tricia, really about this, but living free is kind of a loaded phrase, because it really is. It's a loaded phrase, because having the freedom in your life to make choices. So if you have a morning routine like I do you get upset with yourself if you get off that morning routine, right? If you go on vacation and all of a sudden you feel like, I got to keep up the morning routine, I got to keep doing everything that I do? Or do you give yourself the freedom to do something different for the next 5 days, while you're on vacation? What are those things that you allow yourself to do and not do. And Tricia's really the expert in this area. And so now she's taken her practice to not only working with, she specializes in life transitions, post-treatment journeys, but now she's really working with individuals that have been through the journey themselves. They've had addictions, or they are in treatment, or they have gone through their life's journey now and are on the other side. And they want to help others that are struggling through what they went through, and specializing in that area. And I just think it's beautiful that you're bringing that out to so many more people, and I just see so many people suffer. We've seen it. We've seen it through the pandemic. We've seen people suffer through fear, through loneliness, through a lot of different things, kids especially, with online learning and having the social that they're used to having. And so there's a lot of suffering that's happening, in the world today. And I'm just so thankful that you and your team and your coaches that you're working with are out there really teaching people how to live free, and what that means.
Yes, it's my team is growing into this amazing family of individuals. I'm just so impressed by all of them, and each and every one of them brings and offers something, so special and so unique. And, just even the geographical locations, right, makes us all different and unique. But, just having somebody that understands, what it's like to live with ADD, ADHD, and start over medicating because, the way your brain fires, to have a coach that's there for you to help you also in your way, who understands the way your brain fires, to be there to help you have a life recovery journey that allows you to live in ease, right? That's really what we're doing. We're teaching the practical application of the psychological skill sets and tactics, right, that everybody needs to have the right level of emotional intelligence.
That's right.
To navigate the complexity of living on this planet, right? And so being able to, see yourself, experiencing yourself living the way that you desire, but also experiencing your environment in a way that serves you and fills your soul, but also being received by that environment, all things inside the environment, right?
Yeah.
The way that you want to be received.
That's right.
And that means, being able to, have all of that esteem building that you need, right? Yeah. To loving your physical body, to loving your emotional body, to loving your cognitive body, and being able to step out in the confidence and say, here I am. We don't have to all agree, right? This is my life too. It gets to look, feel, be however I want it to.
That's
I
right.
get to choose. But in that, I offer that to every other person walking on the planet. So I don't get road rage anymore. I don't get, frustrated and bothered at the grocery store, just because somebody's parenting a way that I don't necessarily agree with. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a mandated reporter. So if I see something bad, I'm going to report. Right.
Right.
What was that?
Well, why don't you tell our listeners how they can reach you, Tricia? There's some links that we've put below. What is the easiest way? Would you like them to reach out to you on LinkedIn? Should we have them go to your website and take the quiz? What do you think?
I think the easiest way, right? I love to have conversations with people. Okay. I literally just love to talk to people. Whether they just want to ask me some questions or they I can't see the forest through the trees.
Sure.
And I just want to know what is my biggest emotional block. Or, I want to know, I don't know. I don't care. Just go to, sorry, I have a hair in my eye. Go to turningleavesrecovery.com. In the top right-hand corner, and I invite you to just book a conversation with me.
Good.
Book a conversation. We'll sit down. We'll talk for 30 minutes.
Okay,
if you
great.
prefer telephone over Zoom, we can do that too. Just put it in the comments because it's automatically going to give you a Zoom link.
Awesome.
That's the easiest way. Or you can, the phone number that's on my website goes straight to my cell phone. You can just send me a text message.
That's great.
I don't need anything to be bells and whistles.
All right. So you guys heard that, turningleavesrecovery.com up in the right-hand corner. You can book a call. There's also, if you scroll halfway down, you'll be able to take the quiz. That's another great way to connect with Tricia to see where you are, maybe even before, you book that call with her. So Tricia, I just
to clarify, because there is a quiz. There is a quiz on the page and it's called quiz. That's for Is My Drinking a Problem quiz. But the other one is, so if your life feels like it's lacking, right?
Oh,
so
got it. If your life feels like it's lacking, that's the one you want to click on. So thanks for making that clear to us. And I just want to thank you so much for being on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. How you live your life from this point forward is up to you. You're either going to live it free and you're going to love your life and you're going to be in control of your life and what you do every day. And it's going to be brilliant, or it's not, because you're going to feel victim to the things that are holding you hostage. And this is your opportunity to find out what those are, to take, some of those quizzes we just talked about, to book a call with Tricia, and for you to be able to live your life free. And don't wait till 2023. And don't wait till you decide to make a New Year's resolution, because they don't work. Everyone knows they don't work. You have to make the decision that you are going to live free today. So Tricia, thank you so much for being with us. Listeners, thank you again for your support in creating this wonderful community that we have here on the podcast, and for downloading and for sending us your comments. We love listening to them. Thank you so much again for your support. Until next time, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.